What's up, y'all? Here we go. Another episode of the definition series. We're going over acute variables, and this week we're going to talk training intensity, training volume, and frequency. Let's get started.
If you want to be amazing. Now that I know that I would, finding the paper for good, smoking up none but the good. Now that I should, God be the girl, low be the bar, high be the bush, time to inhale.
Okay, this is a big one this week, y'all. I am super excited to go over these acute variables because I think it's like the next level. You know, last week we went over repetitions and sets and rest intervals, and those are kind of the basics of exercise. Most people know, at least have an idea of what those are and how to manipulate them. But these three are a little bit more complicated, right? So let's start with intensity because I think it's one of the more important acute variables. So intensity is the amount of effort given compared to the maximal effort, usually expressed in percentages. So basically what this means is if your maximal effort in a squat is 100 pounds and you're lifting with 50 pounds today, then you are lifting with 50% intensity. A lot of people, I think, get intensity confused because they think about how hard or how easy the exercises felt. But intensity is not about the way that something feels, especially because the way that something feels can be relative to other things that you have going on. Is it your menstrual cycle? Is it your dehydration level? Is it your, are you in a deficit? Is it your, is your sleep off? All of these things can make an exercise feel harder than it really is because of your energy levels. So intensity it's better to think about intensity based off of what is your maximal effort in that lift and how much are you using of that today? Okay, now let's go over volume and then we're gonna go over how these are related. Okay, so training volume is the amount of work performed within a specified period. Okay, so here's the most important thing that you need to know about volume. It is inversely related to intensity. That means if you are training with high intensity or high load, then you should be training with low volume, meaning lower reps, less sets, okay? Here's why. Every lifter has a maximum recoverable volume. That means you have a limit on the amount of work that you can put in that will allow your body to recover effectively. Let's go back even further. When you lift weights, it sends a signal to your body that says, we gotta move some heavy stuff around, we gotta keep this muscle, we gotta build more muscle, we need to be stronger, right? If you do a high intensity, high volume workout, and the damage that you cause to your central nervous system and to your muscles is more than you are able to recover from effectively, you are not making any more gains than you would if you would have just picked one or the other. So let me say that again. If you are trying to do high intensity or high load and high volume, for example, 95-pound squats. So for our example, that's 95% intensity with 8 repetitions for 6 sets. Probably not going to be able to complete all of those repetitions or sets. B, the amount of damage that you're doing to your body, it is not going to be able to rebuild those muscles in time for you to hit another workout effectively. And you are not going to gain any more muscle in that workout than you would have if you would have just done either high load or high volume. Okay, so this is the important part. This is where the science comes in. We have learned that you can make more gains doing less. I know, it blew my mind too. But basically, it really is. It's very important that you choose higher intensity or higher volume, and you can base this on your goals, right? So in general, higher intensity or higher load workouts are better for strength. Higher volume workouts in general are better for hypertrophy or muscle growth. Now, the science has definitely shown that you are absolutely able to gain hypertrophy in higher intensity, and you are absolutely able to gain strength in higher volume, especially if you're a beginner. Really, at the end of the day, the important thing for you to know, if you're watching this video, I'm gonna assume that either you haven't started your fitness journey yet or you're still in the earlier stages. So the important thing that you need to know is all of these little details, all of the little like splitting hairs things that happen, that's honestly for advanced lifters. That's for lifters who have been lifting so long and so consistently that they need more stimulus for their body to respond. This is for people who have, maybe they've even come close or exceeded their natural ability to grow muscle, because each of us does have this boundary of the allotted genetic amount of muscle that you can gain. So at the end of the day, if you're a beginner, or maybe you're even teasing the line between beginner and intermediate, your main thing that you should be focusing on is creating consistency and practicing and perfecting these movements. So it really doesn't necessarily matter if you do high intensity or high volume. I recommend to periodize and use all of it. Go through depending on your body, you'll have to learn that process, 4 to 6 week period where you're doing high intensity, and then switch and do 4 to 6 weeks of higher volume, and learn what you enjoy doing, learn what you are good at, and then practice these movements over and over and over again. And once you start getting a handle on, you know your form is perfect, and you know what your maximal efforts are, and you know how to periodize correctly, then you can start focusing on splitting hairs and starting to get more into the advanced level of programming, right? So the last acute variable we're going to go over today is frequency. This is basically just the amount of times that you lift in a certain amount of time. So a week, a month, a year. Most of the time when we talk about frequency, we're going to be talking about per week. So I recommend to base your frequency on how much are you doing. If you're anything like me, I have several different modalities that I dabble in. So I weightlift, I do jujitsu, I do yoga. Sometimes I do a little bit of cardio just for the endorphins. I'm trying to back off that while I'm trying to gain muscle, which is kind of hard. But so I like to keep 4 days. So I lift 4 days a week. This helps me have one full-on rest day where the only movement that I'm getting in are my steps. And then I have 2 days where I get to do jujitsu and yoga without having to lift. So that really helps. If you've ever done jujitsu, it's pretty taxing on your body. You're definitely you're getting beat up quite a bit. So it's definitely nice for me to have days where I just get to focus on jujitsu without beating myself up first. But if you're just going to lift, you could probably get away with 5 days. I would recommend having 2 complete rest days in the beginning of your journey. I feel like it's really important to learn how to recover well in the beginning, because that's gonna kind of give you a feel for what you're gonna need when you really start getting into heavier weights, higher intensity, higher volume kind of stuff. So recover well and keep your frequency manageable. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to lift weights 7 days a week. That signal that you're sending to your body over and over and over again, it actually lasts, I think, 24 to 48 hours post-workout. So really, you could go 2 days without lifting and your body is still like, keep muscle, keep muscle. So there's no need, you don't have to work out every single day to make progress. In fact, if you're working out 7 days a week, I urge you to have at least one rest day. Your body needs to sleep, it needs to recover, it needs to be fueled, it needs to rebuild all of the muscle damage that you've done to it over the past week. So I think the frequency is also very important, but not as important as making sure that your intensity and your volume are inversely related. You're doing one or the other at a higher percentage, not both. All right, so those are our acute variables for this week. If you have any questions, please comment below or find me on Instagram. And I really hope that this is helping y'all out. I can't wait to share. Next week will be our last acute variables definition episode. We're going to be going over duration, tempo, and exercise selection. So that one's going to be a lot of fun. Be sure to like and share and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all real soon. Oh, of course, don't forget to get your shit together.